What's up everybody and welcome to today's video. I'm your host Phil. In today's video we're going to check out the unholy trinity of AMPKNOB plugins, which is the BDH plugin suite from Bogren Digital. Let's check it out. Alright, welcome again to today's video. In today's video, I want to check out with you together the AMPKNOB BDH Bundle, which has been recently released by Bogren Digital. If you are familiar with Bogren Digital, you might know that they have released like industry standard impulse response packs. For example, the Rhythm impulse response pack, which Bogren released, I think that was his actual first digital product. It slammed the market really hard because it offered like super great mix ready impulse responses. Same goes for the Chainsaw and Rainbow pack, which has been released in conjunction or in collaboration with Christian Kohler. And Bogren Digital also recently got a little bit their feet wet in regards of amp modeling technology. And they're going with a totally different approach than most of the companies out there. While there's a lot of white box modeling out there, for example, the STL Tones Amp Hub, which kind of takes real world gear and puts it into kind of a modeling frame, or some more, let's say, creative approaches to modeling, which Neural DSP is doing with a lot of the archetype plugin suites. You always have like a wide variety of different things which you can set up, different knobs which you can play around, switches to change the modes, and so on and so forth. While Bogren Digital has taken a completely different path. They're trying to keep everything as simple as possible, giving you basically one knob. That's right, they only gave you one knob. In the first iteration of their AMPKNOB plugins, they actually not even had any possibility to change the impulse response or something. It was kind of a pre-baked sound, which you just had to kind of live with, but it sounded great. Since then, they have tailored a little bit their plugins to kind of cater towards the needs of the market, and here we got their newest iteration of that. That's the BDH Bundle. The BDH Bundle consists of 3 amplifiers, basically, which are all modeled, obviously, after the different 5150 iterations. Let's check out the website, and then we're going to check out some tones. Alright, so here's the website from Bogren Digital, and you already can see that we got 3 different iterations of the BDH amplifier, so to speak. So first, we got the 5169, which is obviously a block letter 5150 MK1. Then we have the 6006 Plus, which is modeled after, or which is basically capturing the tone of the 6505 Plus. And then we have the BDH3, which is reminiscent of the EVH 5153. On this product page, you have also, of course, additional information like a promo text, you got the prices, and the pricing point is a pretty interesting one, because anyways, they offer this as a bundle where you're paying basically the price of 2 singular plugins and getting all 3 plugins. And they also have a discount right now at the moment. I unfortunately don't know how long this is going. I think I heard something until end of March, but please take this with a grain of salt. However, let's look at it this way. For 80 euros, you're basically getting 3 slightly different, but still different amplifiers with a little bit of a different taste over here. And I think that's pretty good. If we take a look at the pricing scheme of the competition, then this is pretty good, kind of in the middle ground. And yeah, I mean, for that price, you're still getting pretty good tones. However, speaking of tones, I'm talking way too long. Let's dive right into Reaper, and then we're going to listen to some sounds. All right, so I played through all of the AMPKNOB BDH plugins in their default state, the same riff, so that you kind of get the idea where the differences are. However, we're going to explore the tonal palette of these plugins a little bit more in a bit. Let me first talk about the layout, about the visuals, and so on and so forth on these plugins. So obviously, when it comes to amp controls, everything is super simplified. We got an on-off switch, which just turns off the plugin or respectively on. We got a gain knob where we can adjust for the gain, and then we have a pedal over here which we can engage or disengage. Now the pedal over here will obviously be some sort of overdrive or boost hitting the amplifier, because the 5150s are absolute iconic for being known to take these overdrives really well. You get that tight percussive chug as soon as you add, for example, a tube screamer in front of a 5150. Down below over here, under the general controls, we have the input and the output, where you can either compensate for weaker or stronger pickups with the input knob, and you can set the volume to your likings with the output over here. Down below over here, we got the tuner, which actually works pretty well, in my opinion. Let me shortly demonstrate. I always find it very important that any kind of plugin has kind of a tuner incorporated, because it's super annoying if you have to kind of use external, let's say, plugins or hardware in order to get your guitar to tune. And if it works good, then that's even better. Next up, we got the cabinet section over here. The cabinet section is kind of, let's say, the second pillar of this plugin, because of course, as I said before, the first iteration of the amp knob had the cabinet completely baked in. No chance to get that out over here. However, Bogren Digital, fortunately enough, listened to the community feedback. They wanted to have the possibility to load their own impulse responses. So we got the matched cab, which is basically Bogren's choice for a cabinet. We got no cab in case you want to actually use this, for example, as a real amplifier going straight out of your audio interface into a solid state amplifier or some sort of power amp and then into a cabinet. Or you can load your custom impulse responses, which we're also going to do in a minute over here, but let's first proceed. Next up, we got the settings over here where we can set the preferences. We can set the input mode to either mono or stereo, and we can set the DSP quality. In case you have basically a lower CPU or, like, let's say an older CPU, then you can switch to the normal, to the low CPU, and basically you're gonna have a little bit of a compromise on the sound quality, but yeah, it is what it is. I always go for high. I never make compromises on that one, but I also have a workhorse of a PC over here. Under gate, you can set up the gate on or off. I like it on basically, but this over here is set to 61 or minus 61 dBs. I like my gate a little bit less clamping. I like to set it up to round about 70 over here. In case you have forgot your settings, you can always reset the gate and it jumps back. But let's keep it that way for a time being. Now there's a really cool standout feature in the standalone plugin format. Let me quickly open this over here and then we're going to talk about it. So here we go. In the standalone plugin format, you can see that there's some few icons more than in the VST plugin format. First off, we got the metronome. This is pretty cool. Let me see if you can actually hear this. So it's a cool, flexible plugin for your lead exercises and so on. You can change different patterns, you can change the speed, and so on and so forth. But the real cool, the real sauce is over here in the recording. Now, if you are on the fly and you have an idea and you want to kind of capture it quickly, you're riffing along and then you just press on record. Then you press again on record, and now it prompts you to basically save that riff. Let's call it demo riff. Let's save it. If you now click on the folder icon over here, it opens a folder where you can actually access this demo riff as a WAV file, which is pretty cool. So I can go ahead now, slam this demo riff over here. I'm gonna turn off the, no, it's fine over here because we're only on this track. And now I can play back this riff. that is super cool if you're on the fly and you want to just capture an idea very quickly, because I personally find that super annoying that I have to open Reaper up and then I have to set up a track, I have to load a plugin, and so on and so forth. So that's really a golden. Alright, now that we have that out of the way, I just want to kind of explore with you the tonal palette of these plugins over here. I got them all opened up in Reaper over here on a single track. They're right now in the absolute default settings, and we're going to work our way through each singular plugin, kind of finding out the best tone, what is the best setting on these, and also check out how they sound like with external impulse responses and so on and so forth. So, we're going to start with the 5169 on the default settings. This is what it sounds like. Okay, that's a very chuggy sound. However, for me personally, it's too saturated. So let's first turn off the pedal. Let's see if we can get closer. Already sounds better. I'm gonna, however, back down the gain a little bit. Alright, that is not enough gain for me, so I'm gonna engage the pedal. That seems to me like a very good compromise between all of the different things. Let me dial back the gain just to see how clean we can actually get with this. Alright, that's the preferred tone. What I would go with the stock cabinet. Let's try out what it sounds like if I load an, basically an other impulse response. Now, to me, this plugin definitely benefits from the other external cabinet. I think it's way more refined in how it sounds right now than with the matched cabinet. Alright, moving onward, let's go ahead and check out the 6606 Plus. Now, straight out of the box, this is what it sounds like. This is way tighter than the 5169. I already like this very much, and I will, however, still back the gain off a bit. So let's try 3. Yeah, that's not enough for my taste. Let's go with 4 instead. Yeah, that has that sweet spot where this shines through. Let me try out without a pedal. Wow, on this one I actually like when the pedal is disengaged. It has that nice, I call it Metallica chunk, you know, this. But I still prefer it a little bit more with the pedal engaged. Let's go ahead and load the same impulse response like we did for the first one. It sounds pretty good, to be honest. I really like it. But I think that the benefit is not as big as with the 5169, so I will go back to the matched cab to kind of retain as much as possible from the original plugin. Okay, yeah, that's a sound. let's go ahead to the BDH-3. Stock settings. Now, this one has the most saturation in it and is the one which sounds, I think, the best straight out of the box. So I like the structure of the gain. It's not really muddy. Of course, it's too much gain for my personal taste, but it's not getting that mushy like on the 5169. But still, let's back off the gain. Up to 4, as we learned, is kind of the sweet spot. I think that goes for all the amps. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Let me try out to load also on this one the impulse response. Now, in my personal taste, it benefits the least from the impulse response. I think the matched cab works pretty well with this plugin as well. All right, so that's kind of the preferred settings on all the different pedals over here. Let me again go back to the first one. Let me go back to the stock cabinet. All right. While I actually prefer the first one with the impulse response, which I loaded in, I'll still keep it on the matched cabinet section, because what I now want to do is kind of just simply compare, my favorite, built-in plugin sounds and compare them one to another. So I'm going to now select the 5169 and the 6006 Plus, and whenever I press Control B, I can toggle between them, and I'm going to work my way through the different amp models this way. We're going to start with the 5169. I'm just going to riff along and let's see what happens. Now we're going to compare the BDH 6006 Plus against the BDH-3, starting with the 6006 Plus. All right, everybody, and there you have it. That was actually a longer video than I anticipated, but as usual, I lose myself in rambling, so sorry for that, guys. However, my verdict on this AMPKNOB BDH plugin suite, or the bundle, more to speak, is it's a fantastic tool which you can add to your, let's say, creative workshop, so to speak. I find the recording functionality on these plugins super amazing. It's super cool if you just want to have a quick idea, record it on the fly. You don't have to open up Reaper, set up the track, do this, do that. You just click on record, you play your riff, and then you smack it right there as a file, so that at a later point you can basically revise that file, and then you can, work on that. I find that pretty amazing. I find that pretty interesting. This is a standout feature of this plugin. Apart from that, the sounds of all the iterations are awesome. They kind of reflect the real deal going on over here. The enhanced saturation, for example, of the BDH3, for example, reflects what I know of the EVH5153, actually, and also that more refined touch of the 6006 compared to the 5192 is actually exactly what I remember also what the differences are between the 5150 MK1 and the 5150 MK2. So that's amazing that they could capture this in this super simple, easygoing plugin over here. My personal favorite is the 606 Plus, and I'm gonna actually buy that. I think very much that I'm gonna add that to my, basically, to my toolbox over here in my creative workshop, because that's pretty cool when I'm on vacation and I just want to record an idea or something. You can find the plugin and the link in the description below. It's going to push you directly towards the Bogren Digital webpage. Check out their amazing other AmpKNOB plugins. Check out their impulse responses. Go grab something over there. This is not a sponsored video by any means. I have no affiliation with Bogren Digital. I'm just doing this because I think this is a pretty cool plugin and I just wanted to show it to you guys. So there's that. Thank you everybody for watching. Keep it metal. We're going to see each other in the next video.